Okay, so there are really 6 basic forms. You can go more advanced than that if you want, but you need to know what you're doing. Okay, so you need to make sure you know what you're doing. The first form that we're going to talk about is the cube. Very simple. There are 2 ways to do it. First way, easiest way, is to just draw a square. Just a basic square. Okay? Try and make it as even as you possibly can. Guys, for the sake of time, I'm not using my ruler, but normally I would use my ruler just because it gets everything nice, clean, and even. Now you have to make the decision whether you want the square to go off to the right or if you want it to go off to the left. I'm going to make mine go off to the left. So, you just do an angle back just like that. And then you can do that on all of these corners here. The trick is to make sure that each line is parallel to one another. Every line that is going back at that angle needs to be parallel to one another. Just like that. This is simple, guys. This is stuff that you should know. It's just a recap. Alright, and then you finish it out by doing a line back here that is parallel to this front vertical line. And then you do a horizontal line to close this out that is parallel to that front horizontal line. And there you have it. You have a basic cube. The next cube that we can do is you can draw a line right down the middle, just like that. And then pull off at a back angle like we had done a while ago on both sides of that single line. You finish out the sides by making sure you do a parallel line to that vertical line right there in the front. Now the top line, to end out the top, this side needs to be parallel to that side, and this side parallel to that. And boom, you've got a cube from a different angle. Alright, next one I'm going to show you is a cone. Real easy. Draw the top part of a triangle. Once you draw the top part of your angle, you're going to do like a half oval. I call them half pancakes right there along on the bottom to connect up. Okay? It's just like a half oval. Not a full circle, but a half oval.
That makes me think of one of those dunce hats.
Yeah, like a dunce hat. Next, we're going to do a pyramid. So I want you to start by doing an angled line. Just a slight angle, just like that. And then I'm going to do a line here and a line here. And I'm not going to extend them as far as I did that first line. But I am going to make sure that they are both the same length on those sides. So this line is the same length as that line. We could draw a line across and they would hit each other. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to connect the dots with straight lines. And you have a pyramid. Next one is real easy. We're going to do a cylinder. With a cylinder, you do a oval on top, so like a pancake. And then you do 2 lines on the sides. And the key here is finishing out with a half pancake on the bottom that is the same as this line right here. It needs to mirror that line right there. If it does not mirror that line, then it will feel wonky. And you don't want a wonky cylinder. Nobody wants a wonky cylinder.
I don't know, that sounds pretty cool.
And then the last is the easiest. We're going to freehand it, but know this when you get to the point where you're actually going to draw them on your final. I have what you call them. Why is the name leaving me? Draws a circle. You know what I'm talking about? What's it called? No, not a cylinder. Not a stencil. Compass. It's a compass. I don't know. I said compass all day long and I couldn't remember it right now. So anyway, you're just drawing a circle. Try and draw it as accurate as you can. But no worries if it's not perfect. My circles without a compass end up a little bit like egg-shaped. Well, that's pretty good. Not bad. Now, the one thing we're missing from these is a shadow. We know that every form has a cast shadow. We know that every form is shaded. I'm not going to take the time to go into shading these because, in all honesty, the end product is going to be shading them with oil paint, and I'm going to show you that when that time comes. But I do want you to know where the cast shadow is going to fall. So let's say our cast shadow is coming from up here at this angle, beaming down from the right. Okay, so right here, this little arrow marks where my light source is coming from. That means that the shadows are going to dispel and go away from us at that angle. That means I'm going to come over here to this square, and because it's hitting right there, there will be a little bit of space on the other side of the square, and there will be a little bit of space left out here. See that? And then you just finish it off with a line that is parallel to that bottom line right there. And then I can fill that in with just a little bit of shading, just so that I know what that is. This one's a little bit tricky because the top is weird. Okay, so we're looking at this angle. It's going to come off like right here. It's going to have this kind of weird, almost house top shape at the top of it. And then I can fill that in. Yes, ma'am.
Excuse me, I'm so sorry.
You're fine.
Is there an overhead in this room?
An overhead projector. Yes, right here. There you go. It's all yours. Yes.
You ever seen that episode of Over the Traffic Johnson? And John's like, that's what I was thinking when I was like,
One of y'all circles. That's hilarious. All right, guys. So on the cone, real easy. All right, boom. It's just another triangle coming off of it, just like that. Shade it in. Doesn't have to be pretty shading. I'm not doing pretty shading. I just need to know that that's darker than the shape itself. On pyramid, easy. Just another triangle. Cylinder, super easy. Long skinny line, long skinny bar coming off of it, and then the tip is just a little rounded. Just like that. And then your cylinder is like a flat pancake falling underneath it. But one side will be a little bit heavier or lengthy than the other because the light source is coming from that direction. Had the light source have been coming from the other direction, it would be just the opposite. If the light source was coming from directly behind or above, it would be even on both sides. So you just have to adjust that according to which way the light source is. Alright, and those are your basic shapes. Again, you can go more advanced if you would like, not necessary. These are the only kind of shapes that I'm requiring from you in this project. Now, let me show you my final product, okay? This is what the final product looks like, all put together. What I want to show you is some things that I did to make it a successful composition in each square. The best way to do things is to do a grouping of 3 and then pull one apart. Pull one thing out. That makes the eye move around a little bit more. It doesn't make us go to one spot. It makes us look at the grouping of 3 and then kind of moves our eye over to the side, and then we can come back and look at other things. So it helps for the flow. It helps for the composition. And notice that when I drew all of these, I have my shadows and I have a different light source in each area. Also notice my horizon lines. The horizon line is something that you should have learned a long time ago, and it's the place where the sky meets the land, or where the tabletop meets whatever's above it. In our case, I guess it's more like a tabletop. So notice I have a different horizon line in each one of these. Okay, so your horizon line needs to be different in each one, as for it not to feel the exact same over and over. So notice my grouping of 3 right here, and then one thing pulled off to the side. Again, a grouping of 3. I stacked something on top of another thing, that's all right, and then pulled one off to the side. Grouping of 3, one off to the side, and again, that grouping of 3 and one off to the side. My shadows changed depending on where my light source was. So my light source was coming from over here, which made the shadows go that same direction. My light source was coming from out here, kind of pointing into it, and so you see that those are going off into the distance that way. My light source is coming from over here, so it's shadowing that way. My light source here is again coming from this direction. All right. Now let's practice a little bit. Let's finish up this box here. So draw yourself a little box. It doesn't have to be big. It can be a little box on your sketch page. And we're just going to set up a little composition for you to reference, and so that you know how to stack things behind one another. First things first, get your... Oh, I do have a ruler. I didn't know it was over there until I picked it up. Get your horizon line. Never do your horizon line dead center. Okay, that makes for a boring composition. Either do it slightly above or slightly below the center. I'm going to go slightly above because this one right here is slightly below. I think I'm going to start with a pretty large cone. Make sure things are going above and below the horizon line. It looks weird when everything is below the horizon line. It makes things look very small, and it makes it look like we're looking from it from very far away. You don't want that. You want it to be, you want it to be like eye level.
But what if you do want to make it look really small?
You don't want to do that because you're going to run into problems when it comes time to paint because it's going to be so small. And then you have all of this empty space in the background, which doesn't look, that's not a good composition. You can erase your horizon line that you saw through that. I think over here, up behind it, I'm going to do a cylinder. Not a cylinder, sorry, a sphere. And then I'm going to erase all that, don't need it. And then how about a short cylinder right here? It's okay to have one object or so below the horizon line. That's not going to hurt anything as long as you have a substantial amount above and below. And then pull one thing off to the side. So I think up here, I'm just going to pull a pyramid. I'm going to let it fall off the side of the paper. That's okay. You do not have to scrunch things all into the same place. Things can come off the paper. That's all right. In fact, that's good. Now we have to decide about our shadow. Guys, where do you want my shadow to be at? Where do you want my light source to be at?
Coming from above.
Coming from above? Sure. Actually, let's do it. I'll tell you what. Let's do it from directly behind. Okay? So we're going to do it coming from behind the objects. I think that's pretty interesting. So that means the shadow will come straight towards us because the light is directly in front of us. That also means that a lot of these shadows will run into one another.
Can't see anything on that.
You can't see any of that right there? Those lines? Look.
I'm blind as this house.
Gotta get some glasses.
I have some. There's reading glasses.